Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game preview ahead of our Premier League fixture tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 PM kickoff. Another early kickoff against Manchester United at Goodison Park, the last game before the international break and the last chance for us to go into the international break on the back of a win. Obviously coming off the back of two really poor performances and two really poor results against Southampton and Newcastle. Hopefully we can turn up tomorrow and hopefully we can put in a good enough performance to get all 3 points. It's not going to be easy. Manchester United are definitely a team that we can get at. They're definitely a team that we can hurt. Defensively they're poor for me, but going forward they're very, very strong as well. So we have to be assured defensively. We can't be giving any stupid mistakes. We can't be allowing them in, and we can't be allowing them to be creative. We're joined by Callum as always. Welcome back to the channel, Cal. Hope you're doing well, mate. Look, before we get into Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference and the massive injury update that we do have, how are you, mate? How are you feeling about this game tomorrow? Are you confident that we can go into the international break on the back of a win?
I'm feeling good, mate. Thank you very much. And I don't really know, because it's a bit of a 50-50 game. I guess it depends what Man United you get, because you can either get the Man United that look like they're on fire and all the stuff we've heard about United lining up Pochettino. Yeah. We all know what Solskjaer seems to do when his job's on the line. He turns into Alex Ferguson. Yeah. But to be fair, Everton used to have some good games against Alex Ferguson's United. We used to, be quite good at getting the better of them. So let's hope that we can, send Ollie packing back to the Norwegian League or wherever he wants to go manage next.
Yeah, no, you're spot on there. You're absolutely spot on. I think it's a really good point because you're right. Manchester United, usually when they're backed into a corner and it's now or never situation, usually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finds a way to pull through and finds a way to win those games of football. We've saw Manchester United this season so far, all play awfully, defend awfully. The game against Brighton, even though they won, they were really, really poor. Crystal Palace, they were poor, but we've also seen them play RB Leipzig, who were a very strong team in the Champions League, and absolutely blow them away. I watched them play PSG in the Champions League away from home, and they were brilliant. They deserved to win that game, and they did win it. So they are a very, very 50-50 team. I agree. You don't know what Manchester United you're going to get, and if you get the good Manchester United, it will be a very difficult game. I still think we can create chances, and I still think I don't think it's as much about creating chances this game, because I think we will create an awful lot, especially with James back in the team, which we'll talk about in a second. I think it's more about taking those chances that we create. I don't want to be sitting here at half time tomorrow at 1:15 saying, we've had 3 or 4 clear chances there in the first half, but we haven't taken any of them, and then lose the game 1-0 off a counter attack, because they're the type of games that you should be taking those chances in. So I don't really think it's going to be about creating opportunities, because I think we'll create a lot against a Manchester United defence, which has been poor, but it's about taking those chances, and it's also about, like you said, making sure that Manchester United don't turn up and have one of those games where, they put in a really, really strong performance, which would not surprise me whatsoever. Carlo Ancelotti has had his pre-game press conference ahead of tomorrow's game. He has given us some fantastic news. It put a massive smile on my face this afternoon when I heard it. Carlo has confirmed that James Rodriguez, Luca Dean, Seamus Coleman and Mason Holgate are all fit and available for tomorrow's game against Manchester United. Of course, we knew Luca Dean would be returning to the side off the back of his 1-game suspension that he served against Newcastle due to his sending off against Southampton. We were unsure about Seamus Coleman and James Rodriguez, and I don't think any of us would have sat here yesterday or the day before and said that they've been confident of Mason Holgate being fit, but all of those players are fit to start. We've got the creativity back with James Rodriguez, of course. Seamus Coleman is massive for Everton, and I don't even think we realise how much we miss Seamus Coleman until he's not there. And then you look at the team, and it's without that leadership, without that creativity, without that defensive, mindset that he has. Obviously, Luca Dean coming back into the team. Look, I don't think Niles Nkunku had a particularly bad game last week, but Luca Dean brings so much. And then, of course, Mason Holgate, who, for me, is our best centre-half. So we'll see how those changes have affected our predicted starting 11s a little bit later on in the live stream. But it's massive news, isn't it, Cal, from Carlo Ancelotti? Not only Mason Holgate returning, but also Seamus Coleman and James Rodriguez coming back into the team. We know we're still going to miss Richarlison. We know we'll still miss that quality, but having James back in there, having Luca Dean back in there on the left-hand side, it will give us an awful lot more than what we had against Newcastle.
Yeah, I do think having those players back gives us the best chance of beating United. Because personally, I think, especially with Kenny, if we would have played Kenny against, Marcus Rashford, MBE Marcus Rashford, we love him. But I think he would have absolutely tore Kenny to shreds. Don't get me wrong, I think Kenny had a decent game. He probably played better than I expected. But he still wasn't great, and, he was still caught out a few times. I think, if I'm right, the chance where St. Maximin almost scored was because of Kenny drifting away. That might be me.
No, it come down that right hand side. Did you right?
Yeah. So and then we've got Hammers back against the poor Man United defense. We've got Digne. But don't get me wrong. I do think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the shining light of that defense. I think Wan-Bissaka is fantastic, but I don't feel like he'll be able to stop an entire attack by himself. Maguire's quite good aerially, so I think he will trouble Calvert-Lewin. But we've got all the rest of our pieces besides Richarlison in the attack, so we won't just have to rely on Calvert-Lewin like we have had to do in the past 2 games.
Yeah, spot on. Completely agree. You're spot on again. It's we've been without 3, 4, 5 of our key players over the last couple of games, and look, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my god, this means we're definitely going to win the game, because we had Hammers in the game against Southampton, we had Luca Dean, and still we couldn't put in a decent performance. We saw how much Richarlison was missed on that day, and again how much he was missed against Newcastle, and I dare say he'll be missed massively tomorrow as well. Any game that Richarlison isn't playing in, he will be massively missed in, because he is that good of a footballer. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I honestly think he is one of the best young players in the top 3, definitely top 5 best young players in world football. But having James Rodriguez back, like you mentioned, that creativity against the poor Manchester United defence, having Luca Dean down that left hand side, okay, I agree, he is coming up against one of the best right-backs in the league, probably the best defensive right-back in the league, but I just think he's got that talent to throw those balls in. He's got enough quality to get past the player, and I actually think Luca Dean being back in the team at left-back may open the door for potentially an Anthony Gordon to come back in. Now again, I'm not holding my breath, just like I wasn't holding my breath when we sat here and talked about him last week, because if he couldn't get in a side against Newcastle with, Dean, Hammers, Richarlison all out, then I'm not confident he'll get in this team tomorrow. But Carlo Ancelotti may be looking at this thinking, well, right, okay, I needed to play Niles Nkunku last week because I didn't have any other left-back option, so I didn't want to play Anthony Gordon on that same side because it would be too young of a left-hand side. Now I've got Luca Dean back, I can afford to throw in an Anthony Gordon on that left-hand side and see what he can bring, and it will be a big chance for Anthony Gordon if he does get that nod tomorrow, and I really do hope he does. But you're right, it's a massive boost for Everton. We are going into a game against the side that, like we said before, can turn it on at any point and can put in a really good performance. And I'm confident because I know that we'll create chances. I know that we'll make opportunities for ourselves. I know that if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's in that box, he will score. If those balls are coming into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he will have a field day against Harry Maguire and Lindelof because they're just not good enough to defend a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But it's about getting those chances. It's about getting those balls into Dom. It's about Dom taking those. And to be fair, look, again, Everton used to be a club where you'd sit down and I said it before, and pretty much after every game you'd be saying, oh, we'd have either won that game or we'd have had a better chance of winning that game if only we'd have taken this opportunity, if only we'd have taken that opportunity, if only we'd have taken the other opportunity. It's not really like that anymore, because to be fair to Everton Football Club and to be fair to these players and Carlo Ancelotti, since Carlo has come into the club, we have taken an awful lot of chances that we've created. James Rodriguez has come in, brought that creativity, but credit to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's taken those chances. Credit to Richarlison, who's taken those chances. So very rarely do we sit here after the game saying, we created 6 clear-cut chances there and we didn't take any of them. Usually we're scoring, usually we're creating and scoring off the back of it, which is exactly what we need, and it's fantastic. There has still been glimpses in recent weeks and months of games where we do create clear-cut opportunities and we just don't take them. The Merseyside derby being one of them. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's one that come into the box and he just couldn't quite sort his feet out again. Wasn't a massively clear-cut chance, but it was a big opportunity. Richarlison's headed at the back post in which he hit the post. So little chances like that which you just can't afford in games like this one tomorrow against Manchester United. If we get those opportunities, we need to be making the most of them. And do you agree with me, Carl, just before we go into the predicted starting 11s and talking a little bit more about Manchester United, do you agree with me? Do you think that tomorrow's not much of a case of focusing on creating chances? Because, you look at Manchester United's defence and even their midfield and how poor they've played in recent weeks in those departments, you would like to think that, I'm not going to say it'll be easy, but you would like to think that James Rodriguez, will have a field day tomorrow in putting them balls into the box and creating chances for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's more about taking those chances on the other end rather than worrying about creating them.
Yeah, I think one thing we need to do is try to score as many goals as possible, just to negate the chance of United doing the same. Because this is the thing, that United attack is so dangerous, they can create so many chances, that we need to put away the chances we're given. We will create chances, that's a guarantee. I think we are, even if we lose, we are guaranteed to score. I'm going to put it out and risk it at least 2. I think we're getting 2 in this game. Because here's the thing, is that defence is coming off a shambolic performance against Istanbul. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce the last name. Shambolic performances against Spurs, like you said, Palace, all these games where you've just looked at them and gone, well, why? Even the Leipzig game, they weren't the best. They were able to keep a clean sheet, but it was the attack that carried that game. Then Leipzig kind of had the soul sucked out of them. But I think going against us, I think, personally, I think we should put away these chances. I feel like you mentioned it on the Kevin Campbell thing earlier today, that when players see Calvert-Lewin create these chances, they know he's clinical enough where they can take goal before it happens. We need to create chances like that. We've got Digne back, we've got James back, Even if we have to score 2 from set pieces, listen, that's 2 goals. I'm not going to complain how we score them. If it's 2 penalties, I'm not going to complain. We need to score goals to beat Man United, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is probably on the line these next few games. We need to realise going into that game that this team always seems to perform better in the big situations for the manager. So we need to come out and play this game to score goals.
Spot on, I agree, absolutely. And you brought up the Tottenham game there again. When Tottenham played Manchester United earlier on in the season, I remember watching it, and what Tottenham done was, every time they had a chance, they converted it, and they were gifted 3 or 4 clear chances by Manchester United, whether it be poor passing in the middle of the park, whether it be poor defending, but they took those chances, they converted those opportunities. They didn't sit there at half time and go, oh, we could have been 4-1 up here, or 4-0 up here, whatever it was, 4-1, wasn't it? If we'd have taken those chances, they were in at half time and went, well, we're 4-1 up because we took our chances that we created and that we were gifted as well by their poor play, and that's what we have to do tomorrow. But you're absolutely right. Again, this is a Manchester United team that I think some people may confused as to say, they're absolutely dreadful and we should be 100% confident going into this game. And don't get me wrong, we should be 100% confident because we have got the quality to create and we have got the quality to really, really hurt Manchester United. And it would not surprise me whatsoever within the first 25 minutes we're 2 or 3-0 up and it's comfortable. And I think if that's the case, I think their heads will drop. One thing you'll get with Manchester United is if we get 2-3 clear-cut chances in the first 20-25 minutes and we take all of them, their heads will drop then, and then it could be a field day for Everton Football Club, so that's also vitally important. But you're right, usually when they are backed into a corner, they come out firing. They've got some good attacking players, and that's one, another thing I was going to bring up, Cal, is we're going to have chances going forward and we have to take them and we have to make sure that we exploit their poor defence, but we also have to work on ourselves, don't we? Let's not forget, we're coming off the back of 2 really poor performances, 2 really poor defensive performances, and we're not coming up against the side that have got no quality whatsoever going up front. We're coming up against the side who have got the likes of Marcus Rashford, who, again, I can't praise him enough for what he's doing off the field. I think he's an absolutely fantastic person. He deserves a knighthood, he deserves everything, but again, even looking at what he's doing on the field, he's been fantastic in recent weeks. He really, really has. Anthony Martial, who always seems to score against Everton. Bruno Fernandes, who's a good creative player going forward. They've even got the likes of Mason Greenwood, who's a very good youngster. So we also can't get too carried away, looking at how poor they've been defensively. We have to also focus on how poor we have been defensively over the last couple of games and shore that up, because again, the last thing we want is one of those situations, like I mentioned, where we've maybe taken one of our 3 chances and we're absolutely bossing the game and it's 1-0 and we're flying, and then they get a cheap counter-attack and we don't defend it properly and it goes to 1-1 and the momentum switches. We need to be assured, we need to be strong at the back, we need to be confident, and we need to make sure we don't give anything away easily tomorrow, including whether that be a penalty like we saw in the game against Newcastle, whether that be a stupid goal like we also saw in the game against Newcastle. We have to be assured, don't we, at the back, and we'll talk about our predicted starting 11s in a second and who we've decided to go for, but it's not all about what we can do going forward, is it? It's about being strong defensively as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, one thing that might get Everton fans hopes up is, I believe Rashford is the only member of that front three who actually has a goal this season. Martial hasn't scored a goal in the league. Greenwood hasn't scored a goal in the league. And then it's this weird, we don't know what Man United are doing. They've just paid 40 million for Donny van de Beek and don't play him. He comes off the bench most of the time. Yeah. So, I'm not going to complain about that. Even though personally, in this game, I probably would prefer if they played Van de Beek, because then they won't go for that McTominay-Fred partnership, which is to, keep Bruno or Pogba, to keep them in midfield, to keep some solidarity in defence. If they play Van de Beek, who will more than likely want to get forward, we may have a chance to completely dominate the midfield. And Man United have a very good midfield. So do we. So it is going to be probably a midfield battle this game. But I feel like we should have confidence going in if we can stay solid defensively. If, for example, if Holgate comes in and plays, and Holgate comes in at the talent we know he has, then we're fine. Michael Keane has been fantastic this year. He's fine. I feel like whoever's on that right-hand side, Digne can handle it. And then is Seamus Coleman back to full enough fitness to the point where he can keep up with someone like that.
Spot on, you're right, absolutely spot on. And again, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a real test for Everton, and we have to put in a solid performance. I'll be absolutely made up if we convert our chances tomorrow and we're winning the game comfortably, but I'll be equally as happy as if they get a couple of chances but we defend them really, really well. Obviously Carlo's spoken about Jordan Pickford today. We'll get into our predicted starting 11s then. We'll get into the live comments actually before we get into the predicted starting 11s. If you are enjoying the live stream, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second if you're new to the channel as well. Don't forget to subscribe, share the live stream, social media, Twitter, Instagram. Let's try and get as many people involved as we possibly can. Liam says, hey Cam, love the vids. Score predictions for tomorrow. I'm going 3-1 Everton, James, Dean and Calvert-Lewin. Thank you very much, mate. We'll do our score predictions before we end up. Peter Pan says, it's going to be such a good game. I'm a Man United fan, but I think we're going to take the L. There you go. Ian says, hope Gordon gets the nod. Me too, mate. Player 1 says, roll on January. That starting 11 last week was look what I'm working with. From Carlo to the board. Great signings in the last window, but we need to build on that in January. Can't disagree with that. Abigail says, my starting 11 will be Pickford, Coleman, Mina, Keane, Dean, Decore, Alan, Holgate in midfield. It looks like James, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and either Gordon or Bernard. Fair enough. James says, big game to bounce back. Manchester United aren't great at the moment. And Ian says, is Holgate fit? Now he is. Carlo Ancelotti confirmed that he is fit. He is available for this game tomorrow, as well as James Rodriguez, as well as Seamus Coleman. Luca Dean, of course, returns from his suspension, and we are without Fabian Delph due to an injury that he picked up in training over the last couple of days, but it's nothing too serious. So we'll go back into the predicted starting 11s then. Somebody just mentioned that Mason Holgate there. We'll do as we did last week, mate. We'll go through the goalkeeper and the back line. We'll do a little bit of a discussion on that, and then we'll go into the midfield and up front. So for my goalkeeper and back line, I've gone for Jordan Pickford in goal. Carlo Ancelotti confirmed today in his pre-game press conference what he practically confirmed last week, even before Robin Olsen had made his Everton debut. We confirmed it 10 minutes before the Newcastle game had started, that Jordan Pickford will be back for this game. He'd be back in goal starting against Manchester United. Obviously, he had a week off last week. I thought Robin Olsen was fantastic, to be perfectly honest with you. And I actually do think it's slightly harsh on him that Carlo Ancelotti made that decision before he'd even seen Olsen play against Newcastle. Look, if he'd have come out prior to the Newcastle game and said, I wanted to see what Olsen can bring and then I'll make my decision, and then he come out today and said, oh, I've seen what Olsen can bring, he played well, but Pickford's going back in, I don't think there'd be much of a discussion really. But considering he had already said that Pickford was playing against Manchester United, regardless of the performance Olsen put in, maybe it left a couple of questions. Look, Olsen was absolutely fantastic, and Carlo said he will play again at some point. He just doesn't know when. But Jordan Pickford will go back in there, hopefully. First time he's missed an Everton Premier League game since he's been at the football club. In fact, I think it's the first time he's missed a league game whilst for 7 years in terms of not through injury. I think even at Sunderland when he was there, he was played in every single league game for the past 7 years. So we'll have to see how that has helped Jordan Pickford or affected Jordan Pickford. Hopefully that little bit of a rest, like I said, has helped him, and he'll bounce back and put in a good performance because we'll need it tomorrow. Back line, I've gone for Luca Dean at left back. Again, like I said before, I don't think Niles Nkunku put in a particularly bad performance last week, but it's clear that he doesn't bring as much creativity as Luca Dean does. It's clear that defensively he's not as strong, he's not as experienced as Luca Dean is. I don't think we have to really sit here and make the argument. And Nkunku is a very, very good young player and a player that's going to be fantastic in the future. But for now, if Luca Dean's fit, if Luca Dean's available, Luca Dean goes in there. I've gone for a defensive pairing of Mason Holgate and Michael Keane. Now, of course, a lot of this, certainly the Mason Holgate situation, is dependent on whether or not he is match fit. He's returned to fitness. He was pictured at Finch Farm today. Carlo Ancelotti said he's back now. I wouldn't be surprised if Mason Holgate doesn't play tomorrow, whether it be start or even featured in the game, because, Carlo Ancelotti might be looking at it thinking he's only been back for a couple of days. He hasn't played a Premier League game this season. He hasn't played in a competitive game for, 10, 11 weeks, something like that, since the first friendly or one of the first friendlies of the season. So this is more of a hope rather than what I think Carlo Ancelotti will go for. I think he's probably more than likely going to go for Mina and Keane again, and then introduce Mason Holgate after the international break, where he's had another couple of weeks to, just to sort of get back to that match fitness and sharpness. But my hope, if Mason Holgate is 100% fit, is that he starts tomorrow, because I think he's our best centre-half. Potentially, Michael Keane's been fantastic as well, but definitely, other than Michael Keane, he's our best centre half, and I think him and Michael Keane have got the best partnership. I like Yerry Mina, but I just think he's a little bit inconsistent at the moment. I think he's a little bit prone to a mistake, and don't get me wrong, he puts in solid performances as well, and he's put in some really good performances in recent weeks. The one against Brighton comes to mind, but I just think Mason Holgate is a top defender, and if he's fit and if he's available, he needs to be in that starting 11. So I've gone for Michael Keane and Mason Holgate, although it probably will be Mina and Keane, if we're being honest. And then Seamus Coleman at right back again. Didn't think John Joe Kenny had a particularly awful game last week, but he just didn't really do an awful lot, did he? He doesn't cause much of a threat going forward. He's not fantastic defensively. Cal was right, he got caught out of a position a couple of times. One of them led to the opportunity in the first half for Alan St. Maximin. And I just think we miss so much when Seamus Coleman isn't in this team. So much creativity. Like I said, the leadership at the back. He's fantastic defensively. He's been brilliant so far this season. And if Seamus Coleman's match fit, he starts for me. Plus, he's the captain of the football club as well. So, what's your backline and goalkeeper, Cal? And do you agree with everything that I've just said there?
I do agree with everything you've said. Right, so we're going to go in goal. We've got John Pickford. Obviously, Carlos confirmed it, so it's not going to go away from it. I do think Olsen impressed massively, so I do expect a big performance out of Pickford. Because now he's got someone who can challenge him for that starting spot. Pickford might have been looking at it at first like a hostile situation where it's a keeper not the best, or like a Stecklenburg. But now he's got a real keeper behind him who could take his spot if he doesn't perform.
Yeah.
At left back, we've got Digne, of course. Like I said, Nkunku, in my opinion, had quite a good game. He made a few rash decisions, like I believe at one point he just shot from like 30 yards out.
Yeah.
But what is he, 19, 20? What do you expect? I might even be younger than that. What do you really expect? Then Digne, so much creativity. He can really trouble a team, and his crossing of the ball, even with someone like Wan-Bissaka, if Wan-Bissaka can trouble him a little bit with his defensive ability, Digne is still able to get the ball up and over the players and to Calvert-Lewin. So that's what we need. Centre-backs, I've gone for Keane and Mina. Like you said, I don't think Holgate's ready to play yet. And I do think Mina's going to put in a big performance similar to Pickford now that he's got Holgate breathing down his neck again. So, I expect something big from Mina. I expect him to try and limit his mistakes and not try the stupid things he just like to try sometimes. And then at right back, we have Seamus Coleman, of course. Like you said, leader of the football club. Fantastic defensively. He can get it done going forward. And I feel down a weak left-hand side defensively for Man United. I don't think Luke Shaw's brilliant. I don't know what's going on with the whole Telles situation. But I feel like we are going to try and abuse that side with Coleman and James. We usually go down the Digne route. I feel like we might go the opposite this game, especially without Richarlison. But yeah, that is my goalkeeper and back four.
There you go. I absolutely agree, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think yours is more realistic and probably the back four that we'll see at 11:30 tomorrow. Look, we'd all love Mason Holgate to be in there, but the reality of the situation is he's been out for 11 weeks and he hasn't played a game. He hasn't even featured in a game. So I actually do agree with your one. I'll stick with Holgate just because I'm desperate to see him play for Everton again. But I do agree. If you're not enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Like I said, don't forget to share. You can find Callum's social media, Twitter, in the description. Go over and give him a follow, of course. Onto the midfield then. Abdoulaye Doucouré and Alan start for me. Again, they've had okay games over the last couple of games in performances where pretty much everyone has been poor. They haven't massively shone out as fantastic performers, but they've done okay. Other than those 2 games, they've been fantastic for me for the entirety of the season. We can still expect more, and I think we'll still see more, certainly from Alan, who's come in and obviously had a little bit of an injury against Brighton, and then since then, against Liverpool, he wasn't great. He massively struggled. He looked off. He didn't look fit, to be honest with you. Against Southampton, similarly, Newcastle, he done okay, but again, wasn't the type of Alan performance that we saw against Spurs on the opening day, or against West Brom or Crystal Palace within the first couple of games. So hopefully we can get Alan back to that match fitness. Hopefully we can get Alan back to the sharpness that we saw at the start of the season. Same with Adelaide Corday again. Big, strong player. Couple of misplaced passes last week. Couple of opportunities that Newcastle had that he probably should have dealt with. But, let's be honest, who else is going to be in there other than those 2? And this is where it gets difficult for me. This is where it gets really, really difficult, because you look at the other midfield place, and this is where we're fitting a player in that who realistically, whether it be Davis, whether it be Sigurdsson, whether it be Gomez, obviously it won't be Delph because he has picked up an injury, you're sort of fitting in a player that doesn't bring an awful lot, but it's like who fits in there the best, and I've put Gylfi Sigurdsson in there purely because, again, I really wasn't impressed with Andre Gomez last week. Wasn't impressed with him against Liverpool. Don't get me wrong, Gylfi Sigurdsson didn't do anything massive to stand out there either, but it's like, it's like having the 2 of them there and saying who would you rather have in your team. I just think that Gylfi Sigurdsson provides a little bit more going forward, and I actually think that role is a slightly attacking role. Look, neither of them provide any real cover defensively. Gomez doesn't get back, he's not quick enough to do the defensive work, and Gylfi Sigurdsson doesn't do it either, so you're not going to get anything defensively from either of them. Delph would have probably been the better shout, and he'd have probably been the one I'd have put in there if he was fit, but then you have to look at attacking wise and you think, right, who do you get more from going forward? Who is more likely to play a cutthroat pass to Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Who's more likely to hit a shot from the outside of the box and it go in? And it's Gylfi Sigurdsson for me. Andre Gomez's stats in terms of assists and goals are dreadful for Everton, and I'm not just going to go into the lad because I know he's probably struggling and fitness and stuff like that, but I just think Gylfi Sigurdsson provides slightly more than Andre Gomez, but it's not an awful lot more, don't get me wrong. What's your midfield? Any of you gone for? Have you gone for the same formation to start? We didn't establish that at the start of the prediction.
Yeah, I've gone for the 4-3-3 as well. It gets the results. I don't want to stray away from something that works right now. It might change in January when a certain Spanish midfielder from Real Madrid joins, but until then, we're going to stick with the 4-3-3. Decore, Alan, it works. Alan's he's great in front of the defence. He's able to grab the ball, drive it up the field, and create opportunities. And I don't think his attacking game gets as much credit as he does. I've seen Alan pick out some beautiful passes, play some beautiful dribbles. He's a talented player going forward as well. Yeah. But we know him best for his defensive attributes. Decore still needs to improve. He hasn't had the best start to Everton. He's had a few decent performances, but nothing we were expecting, especially watching him at Watford. But I feel like this is a game where Decore can stamp his mark. He can dominate a midfield of if they're playing that 4-2-3-1. Fred and McTominay. I couldn't see why Decore couldn't. Yeah. Bully around a little bit and do that. And then the last one, like I said, this is where we disagree. I still don't know why, but I still have faith in Gomez. Something about him before the injury, I thought he was one of our better players. It looked like he was finally finding his groove and that he finally found a club where he could perform, and then the horror tackle happened. But I'm still going to put faith in him because I just don't trust Sigurdsson in that midfield role. It is more attacking, but it is still part of a three in the midfield. Sigurdsson does like to wander, so I don't really trust him in that position. If we had another winger who was semi-decent, I'd say Chuck Hammers in that position, but there's the problem is we don't exist, Maybe risk playing Iwobi in central midfield, but, he at least Iwobi gets back in defence, but, I can't see Carlo doing that. So I'm going to say we're going to have Gomez, Decore and Alan.
Fair enough. I think Iwobi is a good shout, by the way. He's another player that could potentially go in there. I think that's his best position, but like you said, I just don't think Carlo will put him in there. I think he's probably going to play on the wing. don't shoot me for that, but I think he probably will play on the wing, not who I'd choose. But no, you're spot on. Look, again, I see your point about Andre Gomez. When Andre Gomez plays well, he plays really well, and he has got a lot of talent on the ball. He's a very good footballer. He is. There's no denying that. I don't think you'll find any Evertonian that says on the ball Andre Gomez isn't a good footballer. He is. It's his off the ball work that I have an issue with, but I also have an issue with Gylfi Sigurdsson's off the ball work, to be perfectly honest with you. So no, fair enough. We will get into our forward line. Then let's get into a couple of live comments before we do. MD says 2 or 3 up in the first 25. Not sure you've watched us lately. Well, again, we've got Hammers back. We've got the creativity of Luca Dean. Hopefully that maybe opens a door for Anthony Gordon as well. Abigail says I like Milik, Isco, Jesus, Corona and Chukwueze. There you go. James says, I listened to the podcast, Cam. Good on you, lad. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Wayne says, Mina needs to stop him for Godfrey. It might help him get a kick up the arse he needs. Well, interesting news about Ben Godfrey and Tom Davies, actually. Carlo was asked about injuries today, and he says that he practically got a full squad, except Jean-Philippe Gbamin, Richarlison and Delph. He didn't specifically mention Ben Godfrey or Tom Davies, and he wasn't specifically asked about either of those two players. So you would assume that both are fit. However, Ben Godfrey and Tom Davies have been excluded from the England under-23 squad for the upcoming international fixtures because of injury. So there's a little bit of confusion going on there. Obviously, Ben Godfrey was missed out of the game against Newcastle through an injury. Don't think Tom Davies was on the bench in that game either. I'm not too sure though. Ben Godfrey definitely wasn't. So we'll just have to wait until 11:30 tomorrow morning, I suppose, to find out if Ben Godfrey is fit and available to be on the bench, and if not, the assumption is he has picked up an injury. Player 1 says Pogba is a show player. Fair enough. Wayne says, hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Cam lad, I mate. Peter says, tell Callum it's Josh and he's doing a good job. There you go, he is. He's doing a fantastic job. And Wayne says, good evening, Wayne. I'm sound. How is you, mate? Anyway, we will get back into the live comments in a second. Let's get into our forward lines then. I think the one that we'll all agree on, or the two that we'll all agree on straight away, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. No other options, but even if there was another option, Dominic Calvert-Lewin again has been in fine form recently. Only one bad game, I'd say, this season, or one game where he hasn't really done much. Even the game against Newcastle where he had very little opportunities, very little chances to do anything. He still managed to get himself on the score sheet. He still managed to pick the ball up. He was still trying to create chances for himself. Obviously, hopefully with James Rodriguez back in the side, Luca Dean back in the side, he'll get an awful lot more chances created for him, and hopefully he'll be able to take them. I have gone for James Rodriguez on the right-hand side. Carlo Ancelotti practically confirmed today that as long as James Rodriguez turns up at Goodison tomorrow, he will be playing. He was asked if he is 100% fit, and Carlo Ancelotti said that James believes he's 100% fit. Carlo said he has doubts he's 100% fit, but even if he's 50% fit, he'll be playing tomorrow. So I've gone for James Rodriguez on the right-hand side. Obviously a massive boost to have him back from that little injury that he picked up. We don't even have to sit here and explain the quality that he brings to this team and the creativity that he brings to this team. And on the other side, again, probably more what I want to see rather than what I deep down think Carlo will go for. But I've gone for Anthony Gordon, and I'm the logic that I've used to put Anthony Gordon in this side is a logic that he didn't play last week because, like I said earlier on in the stream, because of Niles Nkunku being at left back, and maybe Carlo looked at it and thought that's too young of a left hand side and it'll be targeted too much, especially with having weakened right hand side as well without Seamus Coleman or James Rodriguez. So that was the sort of logic I've put myself together in my head. I'd love to see Anthony Gordon start in this game. I think he'd be fantastic with Luca Dean behind him. I think he would allow Luca Dean to overlap. He would allow Luca Dean to create opportunities. I think he's got more of an output than Bernard or Iwobi has. I think certainly Iwobi playing on the wing. And I also think he's more of a like-for-like replacement to Richarlison than any of the other wingers as well. We spoke about this last week. Iwobi's not a winger. He's a central midfielder. What do you think? What you think of him or not? He definitely isn't a winger. Bernard is hot and cold. So I'd just really love to see Anthony Gordon be given his opportunity, but I do fear it will probably be Iwobi there again. Cal, who are your forward line, mate, and who have you gone for?
Well, I mean, we've got the obvious two. We've got Hammers and Calvert-Lewin, and a bit of an interesting thing to bring up. Both of those two players are in the top 10 for average rating this year. We've got Hammers at 3rd and Calvert-Lewin at 7th. So, I mean, I think it was clear to watch that. If you said name your top 10 Premier League players this year, those two would be up there. Hammers is only behind Kane and Grealish. Understandable. Harry Kane's been fantastic. So is Jack Grealish. But Calvert-Lewin's guaranteed goals, as he's proven. He had that one game where he didn't score, but every other game he scored. I see him scoring again against a weak Man United defence again today. I see Hammers completely controlling that right-hand side, especially with he'll be marking him Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And then on the left, I've gone for, I like to have my one little glimmer of hope in the starting 11 predictions. I've also gone for Anthony Gordon, because I feel like against Southampton, someone not being able to play the Richarlison role showed that attack completely shut down. And don't get me wrong, Anthony Gordon's not Richarlison, but he's, like you said, the best player to play that Richarlison role. And that Richarlison role is off the ball, completely tire out the fullback, tire out the defenders. His constant running, if Wan-Bissaka leaves him open, Anthony Gordon's not an awful player. He's going to create a chance if he's left open. And then they will start to mark him. And then that's going to bring Calvert-Lewin into the game more, James into the game more, maybe Andre Gomez into the game more, Digne into the game more. And that is just simply what we need. We need to be able to bring everyone into the game. And Iwobi doesn't give us that. Bernard doesn't give us that. Sigurdsson doesn't give us that. We need the player who can give us that. And the only player on that bench is Anthony Gordon, who can give us that besides Richarlison.
Yeah, spot on. I completely agree. So there you go. There are our predicted starting 11s. Cal has gone for Pickford, Dean, Mina, Keane and Coleman. He's gone for Decore, Allan, Gomez and Gordon, Calvert-Lewin and James. I've gone for Pickford, Dean, Holgate, Keane, Coleman, Decore, Allan, Sigurdsson, Gordon, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, James Rodriguez. Let us know your thoughts on those in the comment section down below. If you're watching live, let us know your thoughts live. It is going to be a difficult game. I think either side that we've picked, whether you agree with mine or Cal's, I think both teams should be good enough to to get a result tomorrow. Both sides should be good enough to go out and hit Manchester United, and ultimately whatever team we put out, it will have James Rodriguez in, it will have Luca Dean in, it will have it will have Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. So those three players alone should be good enough to hit Manchester United and be good enough to create opportunities for Everton. Again, like I said, we're coming up against a very hot and cold Manchester United side, 15th in the Premier League, 2 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. They are better away from home than they are at home. They've been absolutely dreadful at Old Trafford so far this season. But like Cal very, very rightly said at the start of the live stream, we can sit here and focus on their defence and how poor they're defensively being, but when they are backed in the corner, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer somehow finds a way to win that game of football and get out of that media snake pit, if you like, and he literally is in the media snake pit at the moment. He's like Indiana Jones, he's right in there, but Everton have to make sure that they close the door on that snake pit and they don't allow him to crawl back out and get the media success again. We have to go out there and we have to do our job and we have to win this game of football. We've got the players to do it, we've definitely got the creativity going forward. I've got no worries whatsoever about us creating chances and even taking them. My slight worry is defensively, because they've got a very strong forward line. So we have to be assured, whether it be Mina, Keane, whether it be Holgate, Keane, whether it be Godfrey if he's fit, whether it be Dean, Coleman, Kenny, whoever it may be that starts in that back four tomorrow, we have to be able to soak up the pressure that Manchester United will inevitably bring and to defend against their very, very strong forward line. Anyway, let's get back into the live comments then before we finish it up. Where are we? Missed it there. Wayne says need to play Godfrey against Man United, long ball Man United, but we don't know if he's fit or not yet. Manuel says Coleman, Keane, Holgate and Dean for his back line. Whamey wants Godfrey in there instead of Mina. Wayne says defo mate. James says big statement, we will win. Took 7 points from the so-called top 6 sides. Big positive for me. Manuel also goes for Decore, Allan, Sigurdsson and James DCL Gordon. James says Holgate will be fit and Keane for me all day long. Brilliant. Eugene's gone for a 4-1 win. Samir says James es la major noticia. Vamos Toffees is right. Sammy is right. Ian's talking politics. I'm not going to get into politics because I haven't got a clue about any sort of politics, whether it be American or British. So Wayne says we won't play Gordon. Iwobi will play. That's the fear, but hopefully Anthony Gordon is given a chance. Frankie wants to see Gordon. Wayne's dying to see Gordon. Wayne says so long as we don't play 17 midfielders again. Liam says, alright, Cam lad for me, Gordon, DCL, Hammers from 3, would like to see Holgate come into the midfield alongside Allen, maybe, given Decore freedom to break into the box, Godfrey, Keane at centre-back. Just on the Holgate in midfield, because a couple of people have said that, it's a possibility for the future. I do think it's a possibility for the future, but he's not going to be thrown in now, is he? He's just coming back from injury. Carlo Ancelotti's been very, very, very clear in that he wants to mould him into a centre-half, and he wants him to be a central defender primarily, obviously with the traits to go into midfield if need be. But I can't see him playing in central midfield, Cal. Certainly not tomorrow. Maybe in the future, but certainly not tomorrow. What about yourself?
No chance. No chance. I understand, Gomez isn't the best and stuff, but listen, we've got the player who can sit in front of the defence and cover in Alan. We don't need two of that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Man United's attack is dangerous, but if we want to win, we need to push them. And I don't think I want Holgate pushing forward. I love Holgate. I think he's our best defender, which is why I think he should, if he's going to play in the centre-back. And this is what we really, to be honest, I get Holgate, I think he did start off as a defensive midfielder, but we shouldn't have to sit thinking about, someone we played at centre-back comes in at midfield. This is why, in the next transfer windows and stuff, we need to sort that depth out so we don't have to, talk about playing our centre-back in central midfield.
Yeah. Spot on, fair enough. So we'll leave it there then. Listen, a big game for Everton tomorrow. Kicks off at 12:30, so not much time whatsoever before the game. Big chance for Everton to go top of the table if we win. And a big chance for Everton to go into the international break off the back of a positive win. It is going to be difficult again. They have got a very strong forward line. They've got a midfield that, if you allow them to dominate games, they will, but they can also be dominated against if you step up and if you get at them. And for me, one big thing Everton need to focus on tomorrow is not allowing Manchester United's back four to play the ball out and nicely play it into midfield, get on their toes, chase them down, put pressure on them, force them into mistakes, force them into thinking, we've not got a second on the ball here, because if you do that, we'll get an absolute bucket load of opportunities, because they will make mistakes because they aren't the greatest defenders. But if we allow them to play nice football and play it into their midfield, then it will be a lot easier for them. So hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can challenge them. Big injury boost, like we said. Mason Holgate, James Rodriguez, Seamus Coleman, Luca Dean, all returning to fitness at the very least from Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference today. Whether they'll start or not, we don't know. Big thanks to Callum for joining us today once again. You can check out Callum's Twitter in the description down below. Sure, Callum will be joining us within the next week or so, and hopefully it will be providing us with an instant match reaction after the game tomorrow as well. Massive thanks, Cal, for joining us once again. Anything to say before we finish up?
Thanks for having me on again. Like I said, check out my Twitter below. You should see that I've started doing some writing for Prince Rupert's Tower. If you could give that a read, that'd really help out, But yeah, that's all. I'm good. You'll see an instant match reaction, and hope I can come on again soon for another preview or something like that. Thanks for having me.
Yep, definitely, mate, of course. Definitely. Look, you're always welcome on. Definitely go and check out Cal's Twitter, by the way, and those articles on Prince Rupert's Tower. They're absolutely fantastic. Really, really well written, and really, I agree with a lot of the stuff, so I'm sure a lot of you will as well. That's it then. We will be back. We'll have the weekly news roundup video up shortly. That should be up within the next hour or so. And then, of course, we will have the instant match reaction, my instant match reaction, Cal's instant match reaction, and the player ratings to tomorrow's game. Literally, near enough straight after the final whistle. Hopefully, it's a positive one. We did upload the video with Kevin Campbell, myself, and Kevin Campbell sat down. I had the absolute privilege and honour of talking to Everton legend Kev yesterday, and that was uploaded today around lunchtime. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. I thought it was a fantastic video. The conversations were great. We spoke about Carlo Ancelotti, we spoke about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we spoke about Everton Football Club. So if you haven't checked that out, really would appreciate you doing that. Kev is an absolute top bloke, a true Everton giant, an Everton legend, and hopefully we'll see him back on the channel in the coming future as well. But anyway, big thanks for watching. Like I said, the weekly news roundup video will be up shortly, and then of course we will be back tomorrow with all of the post-game content. Let's hope it's positive, let's hope it's a good result, and let's hope it's a big win. Wim says, take care guys, thank you very much. Peter says, Sigurdsson's form, so he should not play. Sigurdsson's form is poor, so he should not play. I will play Holgate in midfield. Peter says Davis would have a bit more bite than Sigurdsson. We don't know if he's fit or not. Wayne says, take care, Wayne. Thank you very much. It is going to be a tough game, but hopefully we can win. Ewan says, see about the Toffees and 3 points against Man United. Wayne says, see you next time, Wayne. Wayne says, I'll see the Blue family tomorrow after the match. Take care, lads. Thank you very much. And Manuel says, come on, you Blues. Spot on. Before we go, Cal, I forgot to ask, score prediction at Everton tomorrow?
I feel like it's going to be a draw, but I think I'm going to go confident and I'm going to say we're going to take a 3-2 win tomorrow.
Happy days, happy days. I'm going to go 2-1, so still quite close, but I'm going to say we nick it 2-1. I'll say it'll be a good performance, but I'll say a 2-1 win. There you go. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. Massive thanks once again to everybody for joining us live. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Disma says 2-0 to the Blues. Let's hope so. Big thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave the video a like, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. There we go. Done.